Mr. Lasora, you've spoken a lot about some of the privacy concerns with basic common technology that many Americans use in their homes, like Ring cameras, alarm clocks, smoke detectors, and how to detect breaches and abuses. In your experience conducting inspections and bug sweeps, what's something people would least expect that has become a huge privacy threat with some of those common technologies?
Mostly, I would say the audio that goes with it. So a lot of people seem to expect some type of video surveillance, like being seen through a window, for instance, but the audio part of that as well. A lot of these devices are audio capable, and a lot of the people that even use these devices are unaware of the excess legality of audio versus video. So for instance, where you're allowed to video doesn't necessarily mean that you're allowed to audio record, if I'm saying that right. So the audio, what you're saying being recorded, I think is a large surprise to a lot of people that they were recorded being what they said was recorded, if I'm explaining that correctly.
Are there any products that you can buy to actually put covers over those so that you're not being video recorded? Some of the products you have in front of you, I believe you have a power strip, a smoke detector, a mouse, a cell phone charger.
Right. Most of these, what we would recommend people to do is simply unplug them. I don't recommend that you damage or completely remove anybody's personal property from a rented property. However, these can simply be unplugged and covered with. I'm not sure if there's any tools to specifically cover them, but you can unplug it and put it in a closet or drawer somewhere or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. There have been over 35,000 reports to Airbnb on surveillance devices at rentals as of 2024, and we've seen terrible cases of abuse, such as a man in Michigan was caught filming women in a tanning salon in 2021 and posting that footage to an adult website. Earlier this year, a school security coordinator faced felony charges for installing a camera in a girl's locker room in Wisconsin. An exchange student in West Virginia was spied on in her personal bathroom for a disguised camera purchased from Amazon in 2023. Concerning some of these particularly egregious examples, how can people protect themselves against these privacy threats?
Mostly what we recommend is, again, being aware of the laws and how loose they are. So to be aware of, that the fact that you are likely under video surveillance in such areas, and then to be aware of any devices like you see here, and like again, exit signs, smoke detectors, things like that, to be aware if they're different. So mostly if we see these devices installed somewhere, the overwhelming majority are in addition to what's already there. So for instance, a smoke detector camera. There's a legitimate smoke detector in the room, and there's an additional smoke detector, which is the actual camera. That's mostly what we see. So that gets you the majority of the way there in terms of being aware and looking for extra devices that perhaps are in duplicate and different.
We're talking a lot about Airbnbs today, but have you also encountered these at hotel chains and other places? Anybody?
Yes.
Would you say one is more predominant than the other?
In my experience, the Airbnbs, Verbos, those are, I would say, the majority of cases where we've looked, we've found something.
Do corporations that operate large hotels, do they have their own security teams that will go through just to make sure employees aren't installing some of this type of technology?
I'm not aware if they have a dedicated team to that, but in my experience, they are very concerned with it. Obviously, there's a large backlash if this does get out, so that is certainly a concern of theirs, yes.
Mr. Butler, you spoke specifically about how recording devices have become smaller and more precise, and cloud storage capacity makes it shockingly easy to store thousands of hours of video and audio footage. How does the lack of clear consent requirement make it easier for perpetrators to violate privacy without legal consequences?
Thank you for the question, Representative. I think that it's a layered problem. I mean, the fact that you have, in many of these instances, not all, in some of these instances you have the perpetrator involved, makes the consent question under current law more complicated, because a lot of the current law we have is focused on the privacy of communications between parties, right? So if in many states you have one-party consent, which means that if two people are talking, that one person is not violating the law if they record that conversation. Now, in other states, you have two-party consent, which doesn't allow surreptitious recording of conversations unless both people consent. So that's one element of the problem of disentangling consent in these cases. And I think another, as Mr. Lazorsa mentioned, is the lack of clarity especially in common law and tort claims around defining those expectations, especially in spaces that are not specifically the home of the victim. And that's something that I think that really statutory law has to step in to fix.
Thank you. I yield back.